Our next speaker will be speaking on customer experience transformation that triggers growth. She's a thought leader, co-founder, strategic advisor, and research guru who helps banks and organizations evolve in the rapidly changing world of digital banking. With a deep knowledge of fintech trends, she supports banks and startups in their quest to deliver truly digital propositions with differentiated customer experience. She has worked with over 30 financial institutions globally. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Meaghan Johnson.
I'd also like to thank Boy and Maytal for setting the scene about what I'll be talking about for the next 20 minutes, which is customer experience. So it's no secret that customer experience is vital for creating innovation and also for growth at scale. So I'd like to kind of dig a bit deeper into customer experience. So thinking about the ingredients for the secret sauce for a good customer experience. And a bit of a spoiler alert, the customer experiences that I'll show you are all fueled by AI. So in the examples I'm showing you, which is in banking, insurance, retail, travel, AI is already there creating amazing customer experiences for customers. So what is customer experience? So from the actual customer point of view, the end user point of view, it's really about how I'm finding a product or service, how I'm using a product or service, and how that product or service is solving a challenge for me, how it's making my life easier on a day-to-day basis, how it's solving a particular pain point that may arise every 3 months or every year. And it's also about how I'm continuing to use this and how I'm continuously delighted from this product or service. From the business perspective, it's about how the business maintains loyalty and lifetime customer value. So it's not just about releasing a new shiny feature or product just for the sake of doing this to get some PR. It's releasing a product or service and creating a product or service that really has customer loyalty and lifetime value in mind. The third point, and something that's very important, is that customer experience is not the impact from this digital revolution that we've been facing. So before we all had phones attached to our hands, the customer experience took the form in an actual human. So our experience was with humans who knew our name, they knew our financial situation, they knew our family, they knew when we were going on holiday, and that human factor was able to kind of enhance the customer experience. And with that in mind, with this increasingly digital world, it can really make or break a business. So, if you think about the leading businesses today, the Netflixes, the Airbnbs, the Googles, they have really focused on customer experience. If you look at a Blockbuster, they were essentially left behind as they weren't catering to the changing needs and expectations of consumers. And so getting to the ingredients for a good CX, I like to think that there's 4 key ingredients. Together, they make an exceptional CX, but if you kind of utilize one of these in a good manner, then you can still create a good CX. And that's timeliness, relevance, personalization, and predictability. So starting off with timeliness. So timeliness, it's kind of a hard one to crack, and we're not seeing too many examples of timeliness at the moment. But it's basically putting the right experience at the right time for customers. Where we are seeing this is very much kind of in the travel space. We're seeing this within financial services and also large airlines and travel companies really being able to create a good customer experience when they know when a customer needs or would like to look at a certain product or service. So one of my favorite examples comes from Manzo. So if you haven't heard of Manzo, I highly recommend just searching for them on Google, and you will find one of the best case studies of customer centricity in digital banking. So this feature here is the Manzo travel report, and how it works is, let's take the context of me traveling to Nigeria. So when I land in Nigeria, I turn my phone off airplane mode, and I'm going to receive a push notification from Manzo welcoming me to Nigeria and informing me of the exchange rate between pounds and the local currency. So then when I use my Manzo card, when I'm in Lagos, I use it at a few restaurants, maybe I buy some clothes. I go back to the UK, I land back in London, turn my phone off airplane mode, and I receive a push notification welcoming me back from my trip to Nigeria and prompting me to look at my travel report. And in my travel report, it tells me how much I've spent, the number of transactions, the average expenditure. And for some markets, they do this really cool thing where they'll actually tell you how much of a local delicacy it is. So for example, in Germany, they tell us that 162 pounds is 81 currywursts. So adding that kind of nice touch to the experience as well. So the next is relevant. So I often get asked the question, what's the difference between relevance and personalization? And I think relevance is quite hard to define, but for me, it's really just providing something to the customer that just, it makes sense for that given point in time. And it doesn't necessarily have to have an element of personalization. One example that's quite good of relevance is if you're browsing on a Topshop or kind of an e-commerce clothes site, and they're able to see that you're browsing from, say, Stockholm in winter or Berlin in winter. And then top of page, they're actually recommending things like scarves and hats and winter coats and everything. So it's not necessarily personalized to the user in terms of what I've purchased recently or what I'd like to buy, but it's prompting me to think about something that's relevant to my current situation. And a good example of relevance within financial services comes from Tandem Bank. So Tandem is another challenger bank coming out of the UK. They've partnered with an Israeli firm called Personalization. Personalization is absolutely fabulous at using AI to power personalized customer experiences. In the example we have here, so on the left, this is the customer's homepage within the app. So you can see here there's a few alerts, and they're informing the customer that their phone bill is higher. And you can dig down further, and here you can see that the electricity bill for this customer is £35 more than last month, and they have the option to reduce this. So then they're brought into ways, switching options, and providing that customer with information to lower their electricity bill. So here, it's not just showing them what the bill is, it's actually informing them what the difference is and giving them that information to make a decision. Okay, so moving on to personalized. Personalization is quite a broad topic, but getting this right can have such a major impact on a good customer experience. And from my perspective, it goes deeper than typical aesthetics. So, there's the story of Tandem Bank in the UK, and when they launched, they focused on deep personalization. And the only real element of personalization they had was that they put the customer's name on the front page of the app, and they allowed the customer to choose the color scheme within their app. So, maybe 5 years ago that could be counted as personalization, but it has to go above and beyond this aesthetic example. So one example comes from ASOS. So ASOS is a European clothing e-commerce outfit. And here they have a feature that gives you size recommendations based on what you've previously purchased at ASOS. So for ASOS, it's reducing the amount of returns. And the more customer purchases, the more this data is fueling machine learning powered size recommendations. So this is, I think, fantastic. And, Boy showed the example of what was happening with L'Oreal, and I think within fashion and kind of makeup and everything, there's some really great gaps and ways that which customers can really tackle personalization. I think looking to these for those that are in alternative industries, so banking, really provides some good inspiration. So the next example comes from Capital One in the US. Capital One has a service called Second Look, and what it does is it alerts customers to potentially fraudulent transactions, to duplicate transactions, and some other neat features. So I will say that this feature is very particular to the US market. Americans, you have to tip 20% on everything. Cards are quite used, and usually that's kind of reflected in the statement. So you can see here, they've notified the customer that they've left a 50% tip on a bill, and they want to confirm with the customer that this was correct. Was there kind of did they write the number incorrectly? Did the server kind of mistype this? And then you can see here the customer can easily confirm this, or they have the option to fix this. The second example comes from the Capital One personal assistant or chatbot, and basically this customer here has made a large purchase, $340, and they're confirming with the customer that they'd like to make this purchase, so they're noticing that this is kind of exceptional to the types of transactions they've made. Another example coming from the Capital One bot. So you can see here they're informing the customer that Todd's Tandem, that same merchant, charged $15 this month, and that's $4 more than the last month. So it's then prompting the customer to confirm this, giving them the heads up that a monthly recurring transaction is higher than usual. And the last example from Capital One, so here we have the example of a duplicate transaction. So if a customer has been charged twice, they'll receive an alert or a notification informing them to either confirm or help them fix this. And what's quite nice is if this is actually a duplicate transaction and customers click on no, help me fix this, Capital One will instantly reimburse the money while they're investigating the double charge. Okay. And the last element is being predictive. So being predictive, it's quite easy to understand. It's experiences and products and services that tell customers something before they even know it. And in the banking context, this is largely around payments, so helping customers have enough money in their account to cover future payments. And I will say one thing about kind of this aspect of predictiveness is that there's a fine line between helpful and being creepy. You want your bank or a company to help you out, but you don't want to feel like they've intruded on your privacy. So this is a trickier one to get right. But we'll look at a few examples. So this is UOB Bank, and they have a greenfield bank called Tomorrow. It's targeted for millennials, and they first launched in Thailand, and they're rolling out on a market-by-market basis. And this whole app encompasses personalization, relevance, and predictability. So the app design actually changes based on how the user is engaging with the app. So the whole layout and what you see in the app is personalized to you, and it learns the more you use the app. So here on the left, we have a prompt. So UOB is also using Personetics for these insights, and an Icelandic company called Meaghan with cleansing the data. So here you can see that the balance in the account is low, and they have some upcoming payments. So it's a notification saying, hey, your balance isn't in a good position. Would you like to transfer money? Which is a quick link in the bottom right corner. And then down below, what Personetics does is they have customers rate how helpful these insights were, and that's fueling in to the machine learning capabilities that are then making the experiences more relevant for the customers. And if we look on the right, so this is another card within the Tomorrow Bank app. So you can see the middle one, time to pay your mom. So they're seeing that the customer usually pays the mom 8,000 Thai baht on the 5th and prompting them to make sure that they have enough money in the account. So again, from the financial services perspective, we're really seeing this predictability come in ensuring customers are able to cover payments. So one more example with predictability within financial services comes from Bank of America, and this is their Erica chatbot, which I like to look at it more as a personal assistant. So this is one of the stronger examples I've seen of chatbots within financial services. So it goes above that basic Q&A, and also it's a bit more than a Siri in the sense that it tells you more than just your balance, but it gives you personalized, actionable insights. So here we have on the left within the Erica bot, it is informing the customer that the balance is $521 and that the spending is higher this month than normal months, and it provides them with information about their current balance and their spending patterns. In the middle here, this I think is an absolutely fantastic feature. So what it does is it informs the customer that they have some extra money in their account. So usually, they go down to the zero balance, but this month they have an extra $150. So that's quite nice, we have some extra money. But then Erica recognizes that this customer also has a credit card, and they're prompting the customer to take that $150 and put it towards a credit card payment, then informing them of how much they can save per year based on this. And finally, the screenshot here. Here Erica's informing the customer that's helping them with their mortgage payments. So they're saying usually the mortgage payment is due on the 8th, but you typically get paid on the 1st. Do you want us to change your payment due date? And this here is kind of the really good example of Erica acting as the personal assistant. So I have 3 examples, but in the interest of time, I'll show you the first one, which is from an app that I use all the time, and it's called Ovale Money. So here you can see the Ovale Money app. So what Ovale Money does is I link my main bank account to Ovale Money. I set some rules about how I want to save, and then I let Ovale Money do the rest. So what Ovale Money does is it uses AI and machine learning to judge how much I have in my bank account and how I'm spending and pull some micro savings into my Ovale Money account. Then it allows me to then invest into some different types of ETFs and also some alternative types of ETFs focusing on climate change or creative companies. So you can set up rules based around how much steps you take in a day. You can set rules around rounding up transactions. So for example, if you spend, $1.50 on a coffee, it will round that up to 2, and then take the 50 cents and put it into your Ovale Money account. And Ovale Money does some really cool things. So they're basically able to see that me as Meaghan, every day I get my coffee at 9 a.m. from my local cafe. And they're able to see that that's a consistent spend, and they're able to then ask me if I want to then round that transaction up, because they know that every day I can save an extra 50 cents by rounding that up. They also are quite big into behavioral economics, and they've realized that when customers are trying to save, they get on a roll with savings, but then if there's temptation to break the savings to buy something, or if there's a large expenditure, it's very hard to get back into that routine of savings. So Ovale Money will try to gauge your account and understand spending patterns to kind of save you before you need to break the linkage with savings. So what it will do is it will adjust and perhaps save less, and also kind of give you prompts to make sure that, even if you're saving a little bit, it's not breaking that routine of consistent savings. Okay, so thinking about what does the future hold. So I've pulled together a few different recent initiatives I've seen within financial services that involves large banks and what they're doing with AI. In these initiatives, they're very macro and overarching in what they're trying to achieve, and I think that this shows how important AI is. The different initiatives, I think, are catering to customer experience, I'll kind of talk about in the masterclass later about creating good customer experiences, and one of this is actually, having the people that actually use the product creating the experiences. So I think what ING is doing is quite good. So they've joined a task force along with KML and Philips to really halt the brain drain of data scientists and those with experience in AI out of the Netherlands, but also a campaign to create more awareness amongst the public about AI. So it's helping customers become more attuned to AI and keeping the right talent in the country. RBC in Canada, so they're backing an AI-based climate change research. I'm seeing more and more fintechs and financial service companies trying to play in the sustainability space. I think this is going to be absolutely huge, and I think that there's going to be a trend towards customers expecting kind of not just personal finance management, but also kind of personal sustainability management. Scotiabank, also one of the big 5 banks in Canada, they've just announced that they'll be training their execs on AI ethics. So it will be a 2-day certification. So Scotiabank kind of looking to take a top-down approach with making sure that they're using AI in an ethical way. Which brings me on to the last story. I'm not sure if anyone's seen this, but this has gone completely viral. So an entrepreneur tweeted that both him and his wife applied for an Apple credit card, and they basically have the exact same financial history. Like every point is basically balanced between the two of them. And she received a credit limit that was 20 times lower than him. So he's calling the Apple algorithm sexist. And this has gone so viral. The US is actually looking into Goldman Sachs, which is the banks behind the Apple Card, into this. So, while there's lots of different great opportunities with AI, I think it's still in its infancy. And you can see here with the Apple example, if not used correctly, it can actually disrupt and create a poor customer experience. So I'm out of time, and I'll leave you with that. So thank you very much.